everybody, Dane Wilson here again with Lender's Choice Credit Solutions. So I'm continuing this video series on the steps to take to improve your credit scores. Last week we talked about what the first step is to start to improve your credit scores. And just a reminder, we talked about either getting with a loan officer and having them pull your credit report, or going online yourself to pull your credit report. That's always the first step. You got to know where you're at currently to be able to put together a game plan to get to where you want to be to achieve your goals. So that's the first step. Make sure that you go and get your credit report either with a loan officer or go online and get your credit report. Today we're going to talk about the second step. The second step is understanding what they're looking at on your credit report to come up with your scores. We're going to talk about the 5 factors that make up your FICO scores, so when you're looking at the content of your credit report, you know how to improve that content where it matters in the five factors of your credit score. And then starting next week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each of the 5 categories individually and talk about tips and tricks to improve each of those 5 categories. So the first category, 35% of your score is your payment history. So that's positive payment history and that's negative payment history. Ideally, you want to have as much positive payment history on your credit report with no or very little negative payment history. If you have negative payment history on your credit report, they're looking at 3 things. They're looking at recency. How recent were the negative accounts? Were they just a couple months ago? Are they currently late or derogatory, or were they late a long time ago? They're looking at frequency. How often are the derogatories happening? Did it happen just once or twice, or does it happen all the time, or did it happen in the past a lot? And then lastly, they're looking at frequency, recency, and severity. How bad are they? Are they late payments? Are they collections? Is it a bankruptcy? How severe are the derogatory accounts that are reporting on your credit file? So they're looking at those 3 things. So again, ideally you want to have as much positive payment history as well as little negative payment history as you possibly can. The next category is your amounts owed or your indebtedness. Basically, they're looking at your balances that you owe compared to the available credit that you have. Everybody knows you want to keep your credit card balances low, and that's right. You want to keep your balances on your credit cards as low as you possibly can to improve your credit scores. If you're carrying a high balance each and every month, that's considered a high risk. So keep your balances as low as you possibly can to maximize that 30% of your score. The next category is 15% of your score is your length of credit history. Now, keep in mind, it's really important to understand that's only on open accounts. So if you have accounts that you've had in the past, whether it be a car payment or whatever, or a credit card that you closed, once you close those accounts, they no longer help that 15% of your score. So it's important to have accounts that are open on your credit report and that you keep open as long as you possibly can. They're looking at 2 things. They're looking at the age of your oldest open account. That's the age of your oldest open account, and the average age of your open account. So if you go get a new account tomorrow, you've lowered that average age of your accounts. And at the same time, if you've had an account open for a while and you decide to close that account, well, that's going to take away your oldest account, and then it's going to also lower your average age of open accounts. So you have to be very careful. It's never really a good idea, almost under any circumstance, to close an open account early, whether that be paying off a car, paying off any type of loan early, or definitely not closing a credit card. Never a good idea to close an open credit card. Keep those credit cards open as long as you can. The next category is types of credit and use. And so what that means is it's very important to have a healthy mix of open accounts reporting on your credit report. You don't want just one credit card and that's it, or just a car payment and that's it, or just student loans and that's all you got. You want to have a few different types of open accounts to show that you can juggle and handle different types of accounts well. That just shows you're less of a risk, and so your credit scores will improve. So having a couple credit cards as well as a car payment is better than just having a car payment only. So having a healthy mix makes up 10% of your score. The next and last category is your new credit or hard inquiries. Everybody's familiar with the hard inquiry. Hard inquiries make up 10% of your score, so you just want to be careful about applying too much for things. You want to make sure that you understand what the requirements are and only apply if you can get approved. So those are the 5 factors that make up your credit score. So when you're looking at your credit report, think payment history, amounts owed, length of credit history, types of credit, and new credit. I'll see you next week, and we're going to dive into the 35%, the payment history portion. We're going to talk about how that works, and we're going to talk about tips and tricks to improve that category to maximize your scores. Have a great day. I'll see you next week.